Your name, your title, and how long like you've been here?
I'm Howard Bethia, founding principal, Eagle Academy Fairman of Harlem, year 5. I'm here at this school.
Okay. And how long has the school been open for 5 years? Or you?
School's been open for 5 years.
Great. And what made you, want to become an education or like be the principal here or start the school?
All that, right? Education was part of the family. So an opportunity to serve families, to serve students was why I joined the profession. An opportunity, at that time I was a history teacher, so an opportunity to show students the world through historical perspectives was something that always excited me. So being a principal was different in the sense that you get to serve a lot more families, a lot more students. When I was a teacher, I had, I would have 30 kids in the classroom. Maybe I saw 150 kids in a day, but as a principal, you can serve hundreds, thousands of children, families, community members, stakeholders. Joining this school community and Harlem was part of our network's larger work, and so we have 6 schools. And Harlem was one of the sites that we wanted to have an all-male school in, just to support the neighborhood, the community, and really empower our young men. And Harlem was a place, by virtue of a lot of statistics, that was in need of a school like ours.
Now, when you had mentioned the historical figures, is that part of the 4 pillars? We noticed that while Tulane was a school, that there was a lot of positive messages as well. So could you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. So the school was founded on the notion of supporting holistic growth. When you have a school of Black and brown children in general, to teach. To present learning without or with the absence of history is malpractice. For them not to know where they're coming from, who they are, that their value is not rooted in their what they can do right now, but in the people before them. Right, that's important, and so messaging is important. Like you said, you have the opportunity to walk around the building. It's a bunch of male. With a middle high school, right? They present students that are homeless. I want to be clear what you mean. So, are you saying children that are in shelter?
Okay. In a shelter.
All right. Right. Because there are children, that there are children that are going to school that are without a home, right? And then there are children that are in shelter. Here at our school, most of the families are either in. Most of the families that would fall in that category are either families that they live in a shelter, or they're doubled up, so maybe they live with a grandma or they live with someone else. So their home situation, depending on the shelter, depending on their living circumstances, can be very stable to the point where we wouldn't know unless we had the paperwork that says it.
Do you collaborate with other agencies and maybe bring more programs to the school or trying to fit the needs of the community?
About the needs of the school community? Yes. And I stress that because there's all of these different spaces of community, right? And so even, there are 3 schools in this building, and each of those schools have different climates, different expectations, different approaches, and even in the Sutton complex, there are 3 communities. There are 3 distinct communities of teachers, of learners, of families. And that has nothing to do with economic status, or it's just in terms of beliefs, values, approaches. Same thing with the outer. But yes, our school and Eagle in general is a network of schools that thrives on partnership. And so, particularly because we have all of the boys, a bunch of organizations want to be, they want to do that work because there's not many places that they can focus on the boys unapologetically, right? Without having to do something else of equal value for whoever, for the young ladies, for example. So, the partnerships vary, it depends on the need, and we assess all of our partnerships every year. But Fordham University is a partner, City College is a partner, YMCA is a partner, Boys and Girls Club is a partner, HEAF, the Harlem Educational Activities Fund, like the list goes on and on. And that's important because each of these partnerships provide a level of additional access to the families.
We actually had a question to ask you regarding the health status of the student population in terms of the school lunches being provided. When we spoke to the nurse, she had mentioned that because of Michelle Obama initiating this healthy lunch initiative, it had changed the meals being provided to the children. So we wanted to get your views on what kind of programs have you helped to bring to the school to address in terms of fighting obesity, diabetes, which she had mentioned to us when we were speaking to her.
Yeah, the benefit of this complex being part of this building community is that we have comprehensive health service because we have our nurse practitioner, we have our counselors, we have the dentist. We have a dentist on site there who does all the basic, he does the cleanings. So like as I was walking on the first floor looking for you guys, the kid was coming out the dentist, so they just came over and gave me they give all the staff the packs, the little packs that they give the kids. Part of it is like a running joke, but it's like, hey, here's your, travel toothpaste. And I was like, okay, cool. But I say all that to say, not every school has that. So I think our dentist is in 3 times a week. They clean all the kids' teeth. They will do fillings. They actually replaced a kid. Kid had chipped his tooth and they did the cosmetic work on it.
Free of charge, or?
It's all free. It's all free. Nurse Joseph is a nurse practitioner, and you clearly know the difference, right? Most schools don't have nurse practitioners.
No, yeah,
right?
we're required as well.
Yeah, right. So
And a full clinic.
yeah, and they have the full clinic, and so we have the full clinic, which is nice. If families don't know that service is available, then it becomes not used. And so, believe it or not, if we don't communicate that, how would a family ever know? Right? We don't make that a big deal. So when I run open houses, make it a big deal. And we have a dentist. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, we got a nurse practitioner. What? I'm like, yeah, all that. But in terms of the food, yeah, I was a dean at the time when the changes were made in the cafeteria, so I got to see the physical differences in the food composition, increase in vegetable intake. The battle with that is if you're battling community norms of food consumption. And our school actually takes the boys through, our science classes, we do an interdisciplinary project in the middle school about food, the name escapes me, but basically the preface of it is taking them and making sure that they understand what's available in their own communities. Do they have access to fresh vegetables? In some of their communities, no, they don't have access to fresh vegetables. They get the secondhand. We take them to a regular supermarket over here, maybe an Associate, and then we take them to a Whole Foods, and we say draw the composition, draw what you see, and tell us and the kids are asking well, why is it that you walk into a regular supermarket and the first thing you see is candy, cereal, magazines. When you walk into Whole Foods, the first thing you see is organics, right? So but going to your question about the cafeteria, because I'm off track. All right. The question about the cafeteria, yes, there's been a shift in what they're offering. The problem with that is if there's not a shift in mindset, the kids won't eat it. So now what kids are doing is just won't eat the lunch. They're just well, I don't really like the school lunch. Well, why not? Because I want pizza. And the cafeteria's I'm not serving you pizza every day. Please have this rice, chicken, and vegetables. And they're we're not with that. So, that is a shift. We take them through a process of what are some of the issues Like, why won't you eat it? Like, why you're eating a bacon, egg, and cheese and a 50-cent soda at 7 in the morning? Like, you think you're gonna make it through the day on that? Like, what's the energy that you're getting out of that? And they talk about peer pressure, and we talk like, well, they're like, well, the food's not available. So cafeterias can change your food all they want, but if there's not a shift in mindset around like the importance of what are you putting in your body, right? Not to mention if I'm coming from a household that eats a lot of processed food by virtue of lack of time, right? I don't have time, so I'm going to give you $5 and I'm going to trust that you go get breakfast, right? Now I have options, so now I'm going to get with that $5 instead of getting, the tuna on wheat or like the egg whites, like, adults don't do that, right? But let's get crazy. Instead of getting like a sandwich, I'm gonna get Arizona iced tea, like 3 bags of chips, and like as much candy as I can get for $5, and that's what I'm gonna use to fuel my body.
You feel like surrounding areas safe, schools safe?
I feel our school is safe, yes.
But the surrounding area in terms of like the crime rate.
I feel like the stats on Harlem, can children get home? All right. Yes. Do I have real safety concerns once they leave this immediate area? Yes. All right. I was on the phone this morning with a parent whose son got robbed at knife point this morning on his way to school. Not near the school,
Okay.
right? None of our kids were involved. So of course now it's like, well, I can't even solve that problem. I can only console that family, right? Who is very upset, not at the school, but just upset at the fact that her child couldn't walk to school by himself without dealing with this particular conflict. And that child has walked to school every year for 5 years and never had a circumstance. But that doesn't matter. The one day that it happens, your feeling of safety can be thrown out the window.
What do you feel the community needs?
So I think for one, I think if Harlem shows us anything else, it shows us that you can make changes and leave a whole group of people behind, right? So, like, if you go to the Lenox Corridor, the Harlem socialites love it. Like, you can get a good drink in Harlem. You can get good happy hour, good food, if you're willing to spend that type of money. But what's available in terms of just like healthy options, like people gotta physically be okay as well as be mentally okay. So I guess if I had to say like what could immediately be of help, sorry, message came across. We have to be able to substitute. What's the best way to put it? You gotta get rid of some of these fast food places.
Fried chicken.
Like if we could replace crispity crunchy chicken on the corner for a healthier option, I think that's of help. I think that going back to kind of what Harlem's taught us, if you put the services, if you put the right things in, people will buy it, right? And so it's so interesting that, they put the Whole Foods on 125th. That's great, but that's great depending on your opinion about it. But like in terms of the daily food consumption, if a staff member in this building wanted a healthy food option, they don't have it. We couldn't go out and buy it without walking a considerable distance. All right. So shifting that would be helpful. I think, to the extent possible, what's the job landscape in Harlem right now for folks? People, there are varying degrees of struggle. We have some families that have full-time jobs and are struggling, and we have families that, maybe a family member doesn't have a job and that's not possible.